but we're still.
You might have been called out though, because in your last 11 games, you've only won 5 of them. That's why you've been called out. And every game this season against people within the top sort of 6 top 7 in the league, you've been comprehensively outplayed. I think those are the 2 reasons as to why recently you've been called out. Earlier on in the season, I think people were talking about you're efficient, you'll go to that next gear, and everybody expected it, and you just haven't. Like you weren't lucky against Bournemouth, and I say sensational comeback. I'm being a little bit kind of sarcastic, but you deserve to win the game on the balance of play, volume of chances created. I think you deserve to win the game, to be fair. But your performance overall against Sporting wasn't good enough. United outplayed you. Newcastle outplayed you. Arsenal outplayed you. Sporting outplayed you in their ground. I think that's why you're getting that criticism, because unlike Arsenal, who have had a couple of bad 45 minutes and every other game they've been great in, City have pretty much been brilliant as an example. United's trajectory is getting better and better and better. Newcastle's is the same. I think you're kind of gone in the other direction, in my opinion. You started off well, but you sort of flatlined and dipped. And I think that right now, I said it for a while. I mean, Chelsea I thought they were going to go in another direction. I still think you're making top 4, but I think Tottenham's criticism is fair, if I'm being honest. And you guys, every time you guys lose a game or don't win, you guys say what we are saying. Football ain't good enough. Football ain't sustainable. Why is the manager being too defensive? I mean, you're away against Bournemouth, and that's where you picked 8 defenders on Saturday. Like, you guys moan about it as much as we point it out, but then when you win, you kind of all pretend that it's not going on.
No, I get where you're saying, because a lot of Tottenham fans will agree with you on a lot of that, with a lot of that was said there. But that's mainly to our performances, and on the game day, we're just not good enough. We all believe some of the outlying issues, like playing 8 defenders. That's the Conte way of playing. Tottenham fans can moan as much as they want, but you buy into the team, you buy into the manager, you buy into their style, and that's where we're at right now. We're buying into Conte's style. He's getting results. There's different ways of winning. Some teams get praised for playing bad and winning and consistently doing that. The fact that, for me personally, I see that we're playing bad, we're not putting out great performances, but we can consistently pick up points. That's a good sign. It's a good sign that when we do start playing well, we're going to get better and we can take to that next gear. But I do also understand where you're coming from. That I did expect us to go into second gear already. I did think that we were going to pick up our performances and they was going to get better. But I look at the context. As I said, no Kulu, no Richie. You can see that our performances have gone down since those players have been out. Newcastle, on the other hand, I think we played very good in that game and we should have beat them. But I guess a few chances again against the run of play, we dropped points. So for me, I still feel like
Man United with bad talent ID, Ten Hag.
Question to the panel. I want to ask this question of a gal, because I know you dislike both clubs. Who's going to finish higher in your opinion, Man United or Tottenham?
I hope both of you guys do terrible, but like I don't know who's going to finish. I don't know who's going to finish higher. Right now, it looks like Man United are on a better trajectory, but Tottenham just keep getting results. And I feel like the fact that they have the continuity and consistency with the players and the manager for a little bit longer, we'll see them to finish above Man United.
Just to break that down, they are ahead of United by 3 points. United have a game in hand, which is against Leeds. If United win it, they're level on points.
No, I get that. But at the same breath, I just think Man United are at the beginning of like this whole rebuild. So there's going to be more hiccups to come. Spurs are supposed to be near the end of this whole thing. So I just think that's
wait, Agal. What do you mean near the end? Our manager came 1 year ago, 12 months. We're at the start of our.
You're supposed to be a more complete than Man United. I'm complimenting you actually
because of our personnel.
This is supposed to be a compliment, but you took it as an insult. So a little bit of insecurity there on your team. But you know what I mean, George. You're supposed to be more of a finished product than Man United. Hence why I think you guys should be doing better.
It's intriguing because like we've got a lot of games. Our next 5 games are what you call very, very winnable, and I expect us to win them. And I think that answers the question you posed last week, Igal, which is a solid question around how will we do against low block teams. And actually, so far, I haven't seen any problem with breaking them down. It's been putting the bloody ball in the back of the net, which is the opposite to what we've suffered with so many other years. So if we can come through these next 4, the great thing is we will probably drop points. But all of you lot in the top 6 are all kind of playing each other over this next. I know there's a big gap for the World Cup, but you lot are all like playing each other. So there's a guarantee that everyone in and around us and above us is dropping points. Some of you are definitely going to drop points because you play each other. This is where we will really see how much of a corner United have turned. And I know that Neeks will get a bit of PTSD with me now. The amount of times we were given opportunities like this weekend just gone where teams around us lost, and then we'd repeat it and go and lose ourselves, and we didn't. You know, our next games are in the league: Villa away, and then we have Fulham away, and then we have Nottingham Forest at home, and then Wolves away, and then Bournemouth at home. Those 5 games for me, Fulham away is the hardest in my view.
Yes,
They're playing really good football. But with the Villa, they had that bounce straight away. I know Unai Emery's going to be there, but I expect us to beat Villa away. Forest at home, if you're not beating them, you shouldn't be talking about top 4. If you're not beating Forest this season, you shouldn't be talking about top 4. Wolves can't score a goal. We're away to them. And then we're at home to Bournemouth. We should smash them. So my point is, we should have 15 points from our next. I'm going to make I've been very coy about this and very conservative. I'm going to make my prediction at the end of those 5 games, because at the end of those 5 games, we're practically halfway through the season. Then we know if we can break down those low blocks. Then we know if we've really turned this corner. And if we do win those next 5 games, we will be sitting 3rd in the league.
You mentioned a lot of big away games there, Terry, man. If I'm being honest, look, Aston Villa away against, as you say, Unai Emery, we all know how he likes to play. And in just those one-off games, for me, Unai Emery is the perfect manager for a game like that. Fulham away, they're playing great football right now. They started off the season very well, and for me,
very strong team. Fulham away is a very tough game.
I mean, literally, us 3 have all had very hard games against Fulham. Fulham have been a very stellar opposition, and then Wolves away, another one. I just think there are a lot of hard away games there that you guys are going to have.
Listen, Villa, I expect us to beat them. With the only ground in the country that we've won more points at in Premier League history is Old Trafford. So I expect us to go to Villa and beat them. Fulham, that is the toughest game, like I've mentioned. But if we were a real top 4 team, like everyone's trying to say we are, you beat Fulham away, because Arsenal will beat them away this year. City will beat them away this year. So I think Tottenham will beat them away this year. Like, you guys will. So we have to go and repeat that same thing. But if we get to the end of those 5 games with victories, which I hope we do, we will be sitting 3rd in the league. And then I think the conversation really steps up. You know, United will be in that race at that point, whether Man United fans want to admit it or not. We need to see how we get, because these games, individually, people will look at them if you celebrate winning them and they'll say, but it's just Villa, it's just Fulham, it's just Wolves. Why are you celebrating? In the last 10 years, we've never had a run of games like this against teams this size and won them all, or even won 80% of them. We've been dropping points against all these teams.
When we looked at the start of the season, a lot of Man United fans, most looked at October and said, that's a tough month. Because we had, from obviously Man City, that was straight after international break, Chelsea, Spurs. I think that was October. Man City, Everton away, and Spurs and Chelsea. Obviously, Newcastle came into that in the end, and obviously West Ham at the end of the month. We've come out of that month in a better position we entered the month in terms of the race for top 4. We are, but for a postponed game against Leeds, all intents and purposes in the top 4. So if we can get through that month and still be well in the fight for top 4, then I'm confident that we can get through the next month, November/December, and be well in the fight for top 4.
Yeah, I mean, our November's
been a very good football team there.
Our October, like you mentioned, Neeks, it's very similar to Arsenal's. It was meant to be the month where we completely fell away, and we haven't just done well. Like, we have dominated some of those games. When we played Spurs, I was nervous because Spurs have got they're a good team. They've got a world-class manager. The way we handled them, and that wasn't a flash in the pan performance. So it will be interesting. We've got some super chats here that I want to go to. First one says United will finish above Spurs. United look better when Ronaldo doesn't play. That's what cost them last season, is what Zach Taylor says. Igal calmed down, show chest after injuries possibly happen to Jesus. And their midfield pile up after the World Cup. Lee Gunner commented on their crap bench options. We'll be chatting to Lee tomorrow, 4 p.m. on the Terrace. Make sure you're there. Spend smartly in January. Arsenal can challenge, is what AMT says. This super chat here says, winning the league or not, just seeing the rival fans shed tears is good enough this season. Next few seasons, they'll be crying rivers. Franz here says Arsenal have been good, but the starting 11 won't last. They will get tired. We will see what happens if are Liverpool fans Klopp out or not. Some are. I've seen some people talking about it.
Terry, I just remembered something. Yeah. George, we had this conversation where when Arsenal didn't get top 4 and Tottenham got top 4, I think we had this conversation where Arsenal are better, Tottenham are better what do you call it, place to go to or in the future. Do you still think that? Because looking at our project and looking at the fact that we're probably going to get Champions League football, does that all swing to us now?
Gal.
Is that conversation over now? Because you're saying
we're not using the fact that you probably will get top 4. I used the conversation when we'd actually done and got it. Revisit this conversation when you've done some business and you've actually went out there and done the job. You guys talk too early. Like you said earlier in the show, don't start jumping the gun. You haven't finished top 4 yet. The job's not done. There's a long season ahead. Let's get there. We'll revisit the convo.
Okay. And second of all, which team currently is on a better trajectory, Tottenham or Arsenal? Because you were speaking about the trajectory.
Again, you keep talking about trajectories, and how does 12 games in a season change the trajectory of a team?
Because
I don't know.
12 games into the season is when you start to see the league table and you look at it and you say, you know what? This is
an Arsenal fan, you would, because when Tottenham was top of the league with Jose Mourinho under 11 games, it was all a joke. And to me, I personally didn't buy into it, because 12 games, there's still how much more left of the season? 26 games. That's way more than half the season. Let's revisit this convo about 20 games where you can actually say, okay, we're past the halfway mark of the season. Now we can know what we're doing, if it's sustainable and if we're actually looking at the league title or not. Because right now, you're still not in that position.
And finally,
still got a lot of games to play.
Who is more likely to have success for their club, Antonio Conte or Mikel Arteta? I want to hear you put your chest out.
Antonio Conte will have success this season at Tottenham, and I've been saying that. And it's funny because I said it at the start of the season, and 12 games will not change. There's still cup competitions to play. Conte is a cup manager, and when he gets his hands and we start to find our feet, because let's get something straight. No, you're not ruling nothing, because I said this at the start of the season. I'm just repeating myself now. Let's get something straight. Tottenham have not gone into second gear. Tottenham haven't started playing the football that we need to play. Conte is not happy with these performances. Once we start to pick up the performances, once we start to play the way that we know we can play, it's going to get real dangerous. It's going to get real dangerous. And it's not an if, it's when.
It's going to get real dangerous for you when Antonio Conte says, you know what? I got to go. I'm out. I'm done.
George. Did you just call Antonio Conte a cup manager? The man who's won exactly one domestic cup in his career.
Yeah, well, I'm going to call him a cup manager at Tottenham because that's the only cup he's winning. He ain't winning the league at Tottenham right now. That's what we're going for, the angle.
Cool. Who's got someone banging on their door?
That must be the Halloween
fireworks. Fireworks. I thought someone was trying to get in someone's door. Just remember, good football, bad football, doesn't matter. The way of Tottenham is making sure these golden years never lead to trophies. Arsenal can win the league if they spend in January. Little's Drake, that's quite funny. I like that. Geordie wouldn't play Messi if it was at Spurs at 20.
That's just silly. That don't make sense. They're trying to go back to the Saka.
Yeah.